What's going on YouTube? It's JSauce back again with another video, and today we are starting a new video series which hopefully works out better than the last two series. If you have not seen it, I've failed to make a series more than about 2 episodes the last couple times I tried to do any draft related content. That's just because life has been life, and I I wasn't even gonna do FBL, let alone a series on it. But my boy Keji, my number one glazer, decided to ask me if I was gonna join. And I flat out told him no. I'm in too many leagues, too much on my plate. But then one of my leagues finished, and I don't know. I got all caught up in wanting to use one Pokemon in particular. So I looked through the rule set. No, I don't agree with some of it, but a lot of people I know were talking about it, were excited for a draft. A lot of people I'm friends with are doing their thing, so I'm like, okay, Kashi, send me the link to Discord. I'll get in. Well, apparently, it was literally the last day to apply when I sent out my application, so I had to make a banger. And of course, I made a banger resume, included the 2 championships I've won. And the owner, Menu, liked it so much that he put me in the legendary division, which is in middle of the pack. It's the third highest out of 6, so probably right where we belong, even though I heard it's stacked. But let's go over some important info. Snake draft, 16 coaches. I don't know why I continue to put it on here because that's the standard now. 115 points to draft 9 to 11 Pokemon. It is unfortunately Paldea Dex draft and High Tier Terra, two of the things I dislike most, but it's whatever. 2 Terra captains with 1 minimum. Terra attacks with bans is why I decided to stick around, because this is my optimal way of doing Terra. I don't think it should be high tier Terra though. I'm probably thinking like 12 points and under is where I would make the bans, but that's just me. I'm not a league owner for a reason. 5 free agent transactions, 5 grace period transactions, and then they have a rule where if you want to use another transaction past your 5, you can, but it will cost you some of your budget, which is super cool. I do really like that rule. I've not seen it before. But yeah, I had the number 1 overall draft pick, and there's a mod I was just fiending to use. I was hoping for back wheel pick because I think it would have lasted there, and I just like the back wheel anyways. But with that being said, we decided to pick up Gouging Fire. Now, me personally, with the usual suspects being Chien-Pao, Zamazenta, Spectre, with those 3 being banned, I think Gouging Fire is a top 5 Pokemon in draft. I'm not kidding. And I know people will not agree with me in that. I know it's a hot take, but I don't care. I actually think it is better in national decks than it is Paldea, which is a little weird. I just think that Gouge hates having to run heavy duty boots, and all of the rapid spinners in Paldea are kind of shit. So it's going to be running a lot of boots. Now, this, if you don't know about this thing, it's a monster. It recently got banned from OU. Um, it was only worth 17 points. To put that in perspective, I think Chien-Pao is worth 25 or 24. Uh, and then Dragapult, Iron Vow were like 20-ish, 21. So we're getting a good budget first round pick, and I like that. This thing's a monster defensively. 105, 121, 93 bulk is absurd, considering it gets Morning Sun and Burning Bulwark, which, if you don't know, Burning Bulwark is protect, but if someone makes contact, then they're burned, which makes it even better when you combine it with moves like Dragon Dance and Morning Sun, like I touched on, so you can just boost up or heal back 50%. This thing's a monster. Protosynthesis allows it to use booster energy, which it's very good at using on any of its attack, defense, speed, or special defense. All 4 of those are viable. This thing is just incredible. I feel like, barring any generational horrible matchup, this thing should probably come every game, or at least I should consider bringing it every single game. it's just got so many good sets. It can just, with the right tools, it can find a way in and just win a game with a couple Dragon Dances. It gets Scale Shot, it gets Breaking Swipe, which, if you don't know what that is, the 60 power Dragon move with 100% chance to drop the opponent's attack by 1, meaning you click it, drop their attack by 1, then it can't hit you as hard, so you just Dragon Dance up, until you just kind of sweep everybody. It's disgusting. This Pokemon is dastardly. It's devious, and design-wise, it's probably my favorite Pokemon from Gen 9. I love this thing. I had it in draft once, and it was super fun to build with, but I didn't have the team around it to really do anything. I basically just had a whole roster of the DLC 2 guys, so it's a little bit awkward. But yeah, this thing is going to be a monster. I want to build around it. I've been fiending for it. I wish it was in Nat Dex though, because I've been wanting to use Tapu Bulu with it, because I'm a huge Tapu Bulu guy. But unfortunately, that's not the case. Now, before moving on to my next pick, I do want to make a disclaimer that I made a few grace moves. So the order might seem a little bit messed up. Originally, this next pick was Terra Keldeo, but I'm just gonna lay it out there. I had Terra Keldeo, a couple other Pokemon, and then I wanted to get Steel. Corviknight got sniped. Skarmory got sniped. King Gambit was gone. Scizor was the big one I was looking at. Got sniped 2 picks before me. Iron Crown 1 pick before me. Metagross was gone. Literally, the only good Steel type was Heatran, which is kind of redundant with Gouging Fire. And so I decided that by end of the draft, I was gonna flop a few of my squad members. And so yeah, Terra Keldeo is no longer here. We are replacing it with Terra Walking Wake. Yes, it's 20 points. No, I don't care. Terra Walking Wake is a fucking menace. Listen, Gouging Fire is the more all-around guy. Walking Wake is offensively so much of a menace, it's not even funny. It's your stereotypical, very good special attacker with, great but not elite speed. You're thinking of the same realm of, Gengar, who's, kind of on Fraud Watch in Gen 9. The difference between Gengar and Walking Wake, I would argue that Walking Wake has better stabs. It has Flip Turn. It's got so much more bulk and a way better defensive type. Protosynthesis allows it to boost its speed without using a Choice Scarf. In addition, it's got just all the coverage it could need, so does Gengar. But I feel like Gengar needs more than 3 slots to fill it up, whereas Walking Wake, you just run Dragon move, Water move, Fire move, you're pretty much good to go. And I think even outside of Sun, where you typically see Walking Wake in Sun, of course, because Hydro Steam, outside of Sun, I think Walking Wake is super good, especially with Terra. Now, is it 20 points worth? That's to be debated. I would argue yes. I think this Pokemon is extremely unfun to face. Don't forget, it's got 99, 91, 83 splits, which isn't phenomenal in Gen 9, but that will take a hit or two consistently. It gets Dragon Dance for some reason, so I can run physical sets. Probably won't happen that much, but the options there, Walking Wake is just so good. I've been destroyed by this way too many times. It's not fun. I'm glad I don't have to face it this season. Yeah. So with these 2 dragons, I was looking for a fairy type because there's 4 good fairy types in Paldea, and I had the wheel pick. I wanted to get my favorite of them, what I think was the best one on the board, and I just wanted to secure a good fairy type early because it's one of the best types in draft, obviously, and I got potentially the most annoying of them, a Pokemon that I definitely did not want to face. That's Screamtail. Screamtail is, you want to talk about dastardly, devious, just menace. This thing's a bully. 115, 99, 115 splits on defense, combined with a pretty good I wouldn't call it an elite type in Psychic Fairy, but it's very, very serviceable. I think the main reason that Screamtail's annoying is it's got 111 speed plus Encore, Thunderwave, Stealth Rocks, Wish, Baton Pass, Trick Room, and a few other moves that just make it incredibly annoying. Not to mention, it can be offensive. Like, it probably won't be, but Bulk Up, Calm Mind are both super annoying to deal with when you incorporate how fat it is and the healing it gets. It's got good coverage, even though it's got base 65 attacks. It's got Boom Burst, so spec sets are actually kind of fire with dual stab, like Flamethrower, Boom Burst. Honestly, I feel like all three of my Pokemon, more so Gouge and Screamtail, I feel like those Pokemon reward creative builders, and that's something I'm always talking about all the time. I love Pokemon like that maximize off the builder being creative and recognizing its versatility. I feel like I can do it with Screamtail. In the past, have I? No. I've used it in a couple leagues. It's always been a wish spot, and just doing its normal utility things. I think I'm gonna dabble this season. I might dabble in some offensive sets. I won't fully commit to it like every single week, but I might try it here or there. I might consider the idea, which is more than I did last time. Protosynthesis. Scream's probably not going to be your booster Pokemon, but if it is, it can effectively use the Protosynthesis buff in defense, special defense, and speed. Speed's going to be your big one because, let's face it, 111 speed plus 1 with Encore is disgusting. You can easily switch it on like Baxcalibur, click Encore, and then chip it down, or Baton Pass out. Like, this Pokemon is just so annoying. Like, it would have been probably the hardest matchup into my two Pokemon, and I just keep stealing Pokemon I don't want to face. I think that's super funny. Now, you saw in the thumbnail, but we're going with a little something something. Now, I'll be real. I'm gonna spill the beans. You saw in the thumbnail, right? I think the first three Pokemon could have passed without suspicion, but Terra Slitherwing, I think it's pretty obvious who I'm getting at. I'm building a Sun team, so I keep talking about Photosynthesis. I think, yeah, Terra Slitherwing kind of lets people know that I'm building Sun. This Pokemon is it's a little disappointing to be honest because the stats look pretty fire. Not great, but fine. And it just doesn't do a lot. Like, the defenses 85, 79, 105 look fine. Until you realize that's Gen 9, it can't really switch on anything and then eat another hit because its speed's too slow to even outspeed most of the stuff it wants to take a hit from. Like, 135 base attack, fire. Especially with Terra, it gets first impression U-turn. Woo! We're gonna be cooking. It gets decent coverage, not bad, and it gets Terra Blast, so it can fix that up if it wants. My problem with it is it's not bulky enough or fast enough. It's kind of in a middle ground of dog shit. I hate to say it because I love Slitherwing. The whole reason I drafted it because I want to run back with my last Slitherwing team, which had a Torkoal on it, but wasn't really Sun. The team was kind of booty cheeks, but I managed to squeak out a couple wins. It should have been a lot more, but stacked division, made a couple minor mistakes that cost me the game. We do a little bit of throwing on this channel, but 14 points for Slitherwing is a little expensive. Uh, oh, I just realized I didn't say that Screamtail is 12 points, absolute steal. But yeah, if nothing else, I expect Slitherwing to be a Sun Demon, as if I needed one more of those. Nah, but for real, it gets some good moves, like it gets Bulk Up, it gets Morning Sun, Will-O-Wisp, Whirlwind even. It just gets some cute little nice utility moves that are gonna be niche, because realistically you're clicking like Close Combat, First Impression, U-Turn, Leech Life, Earthquake, Wild Charge sometimes, and that's about it. It can also do a little bit of attacking. It gets some good coverage, especially it gets Giga Drain, Heat Wave, Bug Buzz. It's not good, especially, but it's funny. It's got the offensive stat to like make you believe it could be. This Pokemon's just goofy. It's AI generated, but I think that's what makes me like it even more. But I wanted a Pokemon that could function outside of Sun and support the team even if in Sun. And I needed a water beater because Gouge and Wake both hate when water types switch in. So I decided to say, you know what, I'm gonna give it to Rotom Wash. Rotom Wash, one of my favorite Pokemon in draft history. It's been one of the most consistent Pokemon I've ever seen in draft history. Like, even when I'm not using it, it's still just consistent. Lost Toxic and Defog, unfortunately, in Paldex, but still retains Will-O-Wisp, Thunderwave, Pain Split, both of its stabs, Foul Play. It gets some really good moves, and honestly, losing Toxic and Defog sucks, but it's going to reduce the 4 move slot syndrome that this Pokemon has. I talked about Slitherwing not being fat or fast enough. Rotom, you might argue, has the same thing. Rotom is slightly faster. It's important because there's a lot of good 85 speed Pokemon, and Rotom outspeeds them. Um, Rotom does have shit HP, but its defenses make up for that. In addition, it gets, Will-O-Wisp as well, which so does Slitherwing, but let's be honest, Rotom wants to kick it a lot more. It's got some good Scarf potential with a pretty respectable special attack stat mixed with Thunderbolt, Hydro Pump being a deadly combo offensively if you don't have a good grass type or your Dragon's Chip down. But it's got Volt Switch for that. And then, of course, Trick. So if a wall switches in, I can just trick an item to it, crippling it for the whole game. Rotom Wash is just like the epitome of just being good, solid. It won't ever probably be the best mod on your draft, but it'll consistently support your team well, and it will have a reason to come every single game. And I felt that was super good for this team that wants to function in and outside of Sun. I want to get my win cons support. I want to have pass for them to win. Gouging Fire, Walking Wake, thrive off the support that Rotom is going to be giving. And it's only 14 points. Now, we are spending a little bit here, a little bit there, but with our highest point Pokemon being Walking Wake at 20, we didn't grab Chin Pao for 25, like Terra Iron Boulder for 23, which was originally where Slitherwing was, fun fact. We have a lot more budget available to us so far than the rest of the coaches, so we can afford to spend 14 here, 14 there, and eventually 12 there. So I'm feeling good about this team. Now, at this point, I want hazards. We didn't really have a hazard game yet, especially since Rotom lost Defog, and hazards are going to be super important for Slither, Wake, and Gouge. So I wanted to have them. I needed flying type as well. I wasn't loving the ground matchup, especially when you consider that Slitherwing was a Terra Iron Boulder. And so we got the OG Hazard Stacker, Gliscor. Now, if you don't know what Gliscor does, it is a fantastic offensive wall, one of the most annoying Pokemon in the game, and it has Poison Heal, which means that it recovers 12% per turn. And yes, Gliscor may have lost Roost and Defog in the DLC in Gen 9, but guess what? Still has Knock, still has U-Turn, still has fantastic stabs. It has Rocks, Spikes, Toxic Spikes, and just some good, weird niche options like Sword Dance, Agility, Facade. It's got the stats to make an offensive set work. Like 95 attack, 95 speed isn't phenomenal, but it's good enough, especially with like Sword Stance. Then it can really start to break. Because of how fat it is, it's really hard to take down even on a more offensive set. Yeah, this thing is just a menace. It's one of the only Pokemon Gen 9 that has Toxic, so it can Toxic Stall while getting recovery from our own Toxic. This thing is just a menace. It's one of the most consistent Pokemon throughout the years, like I said with Rotom. And, being quad weak to Ice is a little unfortunate, especially as we have 2 dragons. both of them are neutral, and we have a resistant Rotom Wash, and Screamtail and Slither are both quite tanky on the special side, so I'm not worried too much. It also gives me a fat pivot, which is something I love. I love having me a fat pivot. It's part of why I love Rotom. But one hazard Pokemon was not enough for me. No, I needed more. I needed all the hazards. But more importantly, I needed a dark type and a ground with poison, which leaves me with two real options. One of them is 3 points more than the other, and they're from the same evolution line. I grabbed the more expensive one. I grabbed Overquill. Essentially, is between Overquill and Hisuian Quillfish. Now, unfortunately, I went Overquill. I say unfortunately. I was looking at using the 3 points somewhere else. Decided that I would rather cut my losses. I don't think that those 3 points would matter more. I like Overquill because of the item slot and flexibility. Basically, I can run like heavy duty boots is the big one I was thinking about. I can still run like Assault Vest, which I'm a merchant of Assault Vest, and this looks like a very good AV Pokemon. I could run offensive sets like Life Orb, hell, even Choice Scarf. I am sad this didn't get flip turned like regular Quillfish, but it'll do. Now, Overquill has a lot more attack than Hisuian Quillfish, but Hisuian Quillfish holds the Eviolite and it's way bulkier. But I decided I wanted the more offensive approach. I wanted the item flexibility, like I said. Now, Overquill gets 3 fantastic abilities: Intimidate, Swift Swim, Poison Point. Swift Swim is very funny here because I can just set up my own manual rain and then hit the Goob Nut. It would be really fun to bring rain on a Sun team. It also like weirdly capitalizes someone else bringing rain. So like if I see like a Thunderous and I'm predicting a Rain Dance Thunderous, I could bring Swift Swim to like kind of troll. Poison Point is just a good ability in general, but I'm probably just gonna be spamming Intimidate. Let's be real. This thing gets Spikes, Toxic Spikes, Barb Barrage, which is 65 base power, 50% to poison, and if the opponent is already poisoned, it's 130 base power. So coming off 115 attack, even if it's uninvested, it's still going to hit like a truck. And that's something I would like. I opted for this rather than Quillfish because I figured the chip damage from the extra attack would be just amazing. And maybe I could clear out a fairy type or two for my 2 dragon types, even though obviously I'm neutral. I'm really looking forward to Overquill. I've watched a lot of Joey Pokegame. He's been making this thing look like a demon, so I wanted to try it. I've not got the chance to. I've always been looking at it because it just fills so many holes in draft. But I'm excited. I'm excited. 10 points felt a little pricey, to be honest, but I understand the hype, especially when you consider hazards are pretty come and go in Paldex. They're not everywhere. But I decided that I finally needed a remover. All of the good ones at this point were gone. Trust me, I was looking at them from Rotom onward. I was looking at removers. No good ones. But I do need it. I do need it. A ghost type for a spin blocker would be fantastic too. I decided to go with the boy Brambleghast. Now, this Pokemon, in my opinion, is not good. Like, it really is not. I do not like Bramble Dicks. No, I do not. Yeah, remember what I talked about with Slitherwing? How it's just in a dogshit dilemma between not being fat or fast enough? Yeah, well, Brambleghast takes that to a whole nother plane. Well, 115 attack is great, 90 speed is whatever. 55, 70, 70 is disgusting to look at. I do not even want to lay eyes on it. And it wants to be a support Pokemon, I think. It gets Rapid Spin, Spikes, Strength Sap. Poltergeist from 115 base attack is nothing to sneeze at. It just gets a lot of like fine moves, like a lot of good moves. It gets Leech Seed and stuff, which with Infiltrator can go through subs. It's just like really cool Pokemon. I think it should get Will-O-Wisp. I'm pissed that it doesn't get Will-O-Wisp. Game Freak, why did you do this? Because Will-O-Wisp with Infiltrator would be kind of gross. Kind of broken and gross. Yeah, there's a reason this thing's 6 points. I need to grab a spinner. I needed a ghost type as well to spin block. I saw this. I'm like, hey, I'll try it out. I don't know how realistic it is. I'll bring it over my other 7 Pokemon. But you know what? It's cool. I had it once. It showed up to 1 game all season, but it showed out. It did its thing. And I'm hoping, well, I'm not hoping it'll come more than 1 game, but it probably will. So get used to it. Wind Rider is super cool. It can make me wall like a Torn-T or a Zapdos because I get a +1 attack off of Hurricane and Heat Wave. So that's pretty cool if nothing else. But I didn't really feel compelled by this being my only spinner. I wanted one more spinner. I don't care if it was going to be ass. I cannot have Bramble as my only spinner. I was looking at my team, I'm like, what do I need? What do I need? I could really use a normal type. And I'm grabbing the best shitter glue piece of all time, Kamala. Now, this Pokemon, again, is not good. It's got arguably worse bulk than Bramblegast, same attack, and 25 less speed. But Kamala's at least cool. It's a pretty good AV Pokemon with like U-turn, rapid spin, knockoff, Super Fang. It gets like taunt, I believe. It had a pretty cool niche set in Sleep Talk Last Resort, because Comatose always treats Kamala as if it's asleep, and with Choice Scarf, you could just spam Sleep Talk and get Last Resort constantly. But I don't think that really works in draft, unfortunately. Super deep move pool for like no reason at all. It's just like, again, it's the Brambleghast Slitherwing dilemma. And, I don't know if Kamala's gonna come. I needed a ghost type answer, specifically for like Spectre, because Overqwil doesn't enjoy taking its moves because it's so frail specially. So at least I have Kamala. It should 1v1 like every spec set because I can't get burned. Or so I hope. So I'm just spoiling my plans. I'm just putting it out there. If I face spec, Kamala is coming. Trust the process. Other than that, there's not really much to say other than he cute. I've been wanting to use this Pokemon for a long time, just because it's got everything I could ever want in a low tier. It's got U-turn, Rapid Spin, Knockoff, Wish Pass, Super Fang, which is super cool. It can't be status, it's pretty dope as well. Now that'll be very situational, but me bringing Kamala will also be super situational, so I don't mind. This Pokemon might not touch the field all season, but it'll be there for moral support. Now, you should figure out who my last Pokemon is, just based on the team, based off the thumbnail, based on what I've been saying about Sun. To no surprise, it's Ninetales. Realistically, if I dropped Kamala, this could be a Torkoal. I don't like Torkoal. I actually really dislike Torkoal. I'm just not one for sitters, and I don't like how Torkoal just sits there and wastes a turn of Sun. Ninetales is more offensive, faster, has momentum, and Baton Pass and Memento, which I'm technically counting. It's just super cool. It also has screens, which is probably never using, but it's an option. The downside, the stats are very mid. Like, very mid. The definition of mid. And it's kind of saved by its 2 abilities, Flash Fire. Not that useful on my team. I have 2 Quad Resist to Fire and a Rotom Wash. That's not happening. But it's got Drought, which enables 4 Quark Drive Pokemon. And it's just really tough for people to deal with. And if I could run like Heat Rock, Baton Pass, get up Sun and pass out, and give 7 turns of Sun to like Gouging Fire, it's fantastic. I don't really rock with Sun, but I think my experience is tainted from not using Ninetales, because everyone I've seen use Ninetales loved it. So I'm inclined to at least try it out. Now, we get to some pros and cons of the team as well as projected record. I genuinely believe this team could go 7-2. I think we have a phenomenal hazard game, uh, between Gliscorp, Overqwil, Screamtail, and Brambleghast. We have 2 Stealth Rock Pokemon, 3 Spikers, two Toxic Spikers, as well as Brainless Sun. Sun is one of the most turn your mind off playstyles in Gen 9, and I think that'll be good for me because I have some like I have some other priorities of school and looking for a job. So it'll be nice to not have to think every single turn of the game. I'm also in multiple other leagues, which is why I was shaky of joining this one. But the thing I love most about this team is it works well out of Sun. Specifically, Gouge and Scream, and then Rotom, Gliscor, Overquill. But Terra Walking Away can work out of Sun. Like, Slitherwing can. I'm not saying it will, but it can potentially work out of Sun. And Brambleghast is just like there. Same with Kamala. I mean, they're fine. They really are. Uh, on the flip side, we have no Steel type, and if you look at our weakness chart, we are weak to Flying, Rock, Dragon, and Fairy. I wonder if only there was a type that resisted all of those. Oh wait, Steel type. Now, I was actually looking at dropping Overquill for Hisuian Quillfish and then getting Magneton for 3 points. Just get me a cheeky old Steel type. But, I figured that Magneton would only be great for trapping Steels, which, as you can tell, my team does not need. I figured that I would rather use those 3 points on Overquill because Overquill is pretty fucking based. Not gonna lie. And then we, of course, have shaky removal. It wouldn't be a JSauce team without some shaky removal. It's super sketch. How I play, it's whatever. Because guess what? I'll probably bring Brambleghast and Kamala more than I want to, and they're gonna be putting in work. Listen, I need some shitters to root for, to love, to cherish. And that's my Brambleghast, that's my Kamala. Realistically, I think this team probably goes 5-4, 6-3. I could see a floor of 4-5 though, because if I don't know how to pilot Sun, then me and my team don't mesh well together. And when your team doesn't mesh well with you and you start stacking up losses, it is incredibly difficult to be on the uprise in a stack division like the legendary division. It can be very difficult. I really hope I don't miss out on playoffs because this team it truly does look fun. And, I've become the thing I swore to destroy. I've been preaching on how much I hate weather, how much it's cringe and it sucks, and now look at me. In the words of Keji, I went full virgin weather, but it's whatever. So yeah, here's the squadron, the gang, for Frost Battle League Season 11, Legendary Division. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty badass just standing here and looking at all this. I'm very proud of the way I salvaged this draft after it was not going very good. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. It would really help me out and help me break out the algorithm. I do recognize that I promote niche content because Pokemon Draft League is not something that everyone wants to be watching, and I accept that. I only hope to grow within the community, and any support would help me do that, and I promise I would keep making banger videos for you guys. With that being said, JSauce out.